I think founders and business owners, there is this need to find the next thing. And when you have a habit of hard work, high activation, problem solving, that's where your cortisol spikes are coming from and your dopamine spikes are coming from. You have like a normal physiological reaction to that type of pace in life. So if you don't have that and you're used to that type of activity and environment, you're going to be very restless walking around a farm trying to figure out what the fuck you're going to do with your life. Greg Vetter Podcast, Go Mo's in the house. Here we go. We got a little shorty here. Mo's been reading my Substack. One of my subscribers, not paid, but that's okay.
I'll get there.
I'll get him up there. I think he has an inside scoop of what I'm writing. And one of the topics in the articles was basically, who are you without the thing that you've built? And you thought it was interesting for what hit the most for you? What was the one question that got you going?
When you build the thing that you build, that becomes your identity. You were walking around after the business was taken from you and not sold, and people just kept, hey, you're the Tessie Mays guy. Hey, there's the Tessie Mays guy.
Yeah.
You're the Tessie Mays guy. So you did all that work and you became the Tessie Mays guy, and when all that left and dropped off and burned in a fiery blaze, like you like to call it.
Yeah.
You just kept on getting that past thrown back at you in your face. But then on the flip side, when you were at the dinner table, you said your kids didn't see any of that. The only questions you got from your kids were, hey, Dad, are you coming to my basketball game?
Right.
Hey, Dad, do you want to go outside and play some catch?
Yep.
And then you found out, like, that's who you've really been all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, one of the reasons I wrote the first book, Undressed, was exactly one of those moments. I was at a party. Some guy walks up and was like, oh my God, Tessie Mays, that's my favorite shit, dude. I heard you guys exited out of that business. That's amazing. And I just like looked at him, just kind of like listened, didn't really interrupt him, didn't know what to say. Didn't want to ruin the energy or vibes of the party, and just kind of took it all in. And I was driving home and I'm like, people think I fucking exited this thing and like made $500 million or something. Like, they don't know the details. They just hear Greg and his brothers sold Tessie Mays, so it must be for a shitload of money. And I'm like, I don't want to live that lie at all. And I'm like, I need to set the fucking record straight. Like, yeah, I built this thing, but like, it didn't end well. So like, I'm not the fucking Tessie Mays guy. But also the identity side of like, oh my God, you're the Tessie Mays guy. And this happens with athletes all the time. You're the greatest, NFL running back. You're an NFL wide receiver. You're the greatest NBA, whatever. And then it ends and then they're nothing. And,
after they retire.
Right. And they have this massive identity crisis because the thing that defined them forever is no longer in existence. And I think the greatest part about building something so big while being a dad of young kids, I always had this kind of paradox where it's like, you're this thing over here, and then you come home and they don't give a shit. Are you home? Are you paying attention? Are we going outside? Are you taking me to practice? Can we watch a show? I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to eat that. Can we have ice cream? Can we do this? Can we do that? And they just want you. And so it made me think deeper about probably when I was younger, who was I before all of this? Who was I before college lacrosse and professional lacrosse? And who was I before chasing the American dream and building this thing? And who was I before I lost it? And am I still that person, or has something changed along the way? And I think it's just an interesting exercise because everybody today associates their identity with the shit that they do or what their job is. You know, I'm in commercial real estate. Well, I don't care.
Right.
What are you actually fucking interested in?
Yeah. Like, what are your hobbies?
Who are you? I don't even need your hobbies. Like, what do you think's funny? What are your views on the world? What, you know, I think it's interesting, and I don't know if this is true, but one of the interviewing questions at Google or Facebook or some dumb shit is like, what's one belief that you believe that nobody else in the world believes?
I would have to think about that.
Oh, I got 500. Like, don't even get me started.
You say that nobody in the world
believes? I'm like, I'm on the fucking fringes, dude.
Yeah, I don't.
And so, but going back to this whole thing of identity, it's like, well, that's who I am. I'm curious. I'm looking for the writing in between the lines. I'm looking for patterns that aren't there. I'm looking to invent something that hasn't been invented before. I'm looking to take the path less traveled. I'm looking to have a meaningful life. I'm looking for a fully optimal existence while I'm on this planet. I want to get deeply philosophical on shit and think in ways that people haven't thought before. You know, like, I want to see how healthy I can be. I want to see how strong I can be. I want to see how good of a dad I can be. I want to see, you know, what can I turn this farm into? What ideas can I create? What books can I write? What impact can I have on the world? And then I want to do it. I just don't want to think about it. I want to take action. I'm a high activation motherfucker.
And you had time to think about this, as you said in the article. You didn't start a business right away after you testing may have fell off. You kind of had some time to sit and walk around the farm, you said, and just think like, who am I? And then you forward or progressing, you talk about the founder's trap, when most people, they stop one thing and then they just immediately jump into something else, like no break in between. So they really never have time to find out who they are. Can you speak on the founder's trap?
Well, I think it's the identity situation. Their identity is the founder. And so if you're busy creating stuff, you don't really have to talk about your most recent failure. If you got a new win, it's like sports, you're only as good as your last game. Well, if your last game was a fucking epic dumpster fire, you better get to that next game pretty quick, and that better be good so that you can point to, yeah, I know that sucked, but take a look at this. And then I also think being overly busy is a wonderful addiction and a crutch, you know?
Distractions?
Yeah. Because
a positive distraction, I guess.
Well, it depends.
Right.
It depends on how busy you are, right? Because Colin Powell said it, busy bastards, you know, they'll take an organization down from the inside out just by fucking doing dumb shit. So I wanted to be methodical and thoughtful about what I was getting into and why, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't just getting into something so that I could be busy. I wanted to be getting into something that I was interested in, and I wanted to see what came my way in the process.
So is this something that all entrepreneurs have to look out for, and how do they look out for it? And is this a bad thing or a good thing, or just something that's going to come along with being an entrepreneur?
I think it's something that's just going to come along with life, right? Entrepreneurship and people being entrepreneurs or not. I mean, we used to just call them business owners. Like, we made this word very
you talked
mysterious and sexy and fancy. Of nobody even knows how to fucking spell it.
That's funny because I just was talking to my goddaughter who got into the Honor Society, and she just told me she is taking a class at AACC to be an entrepreneur because she's going to start her fashion brand.
Uh-huh.
And I told her, I said, I work on an entrepreneur podcast. So,
yeah,
we should look, that should just be another segment where we look up where the word entrepreneur came from and when did it start being
I'd like
the
to
word.
I bet Google Analytics or ChatGPT has some data points on just like the massive increase in use.
Right.
It had to be around 2005-ish. I feel like that's when I just started hearing motherfuckers say that every other word. But yeah, I think founders and business owners and everything else, there is this need to find the next thing. And when you have a habit of hard work, high activation, problem solving, that's where your kind of cortisol spikes are coming from and your dopamine spikes are coming from. You have like a normal physiological reaction to that type of pace in life.
That's where you're comfortable at.
That's where you're comfortable. And so if you don't have that and you're used to that type of activity and environment, you're going to be very restless walking around a farm trying to figure out what the fuck you're going to do with your life. I think my biggest fear was that I was just going to be a one-hit wonder, where first one was total luck and then nothing else was going to come my way. And in reality, in reflecting and writing that book, I realized that I had created the buzz. I had willed my way into existence. The buzz was created by the energy that we created, and we forced that brand into success. Now, it was great. The quality was phenomenal. We invented clean manufacturing. It was all wonderful. But once I realized it wasn't luck, then I kind of opened myself up to receive whatever the next venture was going to be or the next opportunity. So I think that that's really necessary, because when you're used to solving massive problems on a global scale on a daily basis, and then you go to nothing, you immediately want to put your resources and your skills to use as fast as possible. And I guess the same thing would be dating. Like, you don't want to break up with a girl and then get a girlfriend the next day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody gives that advice to their friend. You break up with somebody and you go, hey man, why don't you think about what worked and what didn't work? Why don't you go on some dates? Why don't you go figure out what you actually like? Why don't you go have some experiences? And then if the right one comes, you'll know.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is true with business.
All right. Well, I like the way that sounds. That was a quick segment.
It's a little quickie there.
Yeah, it was. Do you anything you want to close
the new
out?
the quickie division.
That's our new hit.
Let's go.
Our new quick one.
Hit it and quit it.
Boom.
This was the Greg Vetter Podcast, the new quickie division with Go-Go Mo. Throwing it back to how he rolls in the sheets. See ya.
How did I point at the camera?